mid-60s to mid-70s. I never really was a country western fan, though I do like some. I like Hank Williams and a few others, but I was, you know, I was a rock and roller. I don't play nothing, but I've listened to many a classic rock song. 96 Rock. How many of you remember 96 Rock? Man, you know, I can remember Angela and I going to Stone Mountain in my 73 Plymouth Coupe with an 8-track tape player and cruising around and listening to 96 Rock. You know, that was the music station in Metro Atlanta in the mid-70s, probably on into the mid-80s. So that's where my radio was if I didn't have an 8-track in there. 8 tracks. Another message. But one of the greatest classic rock songs of all time is Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. And if you're not familiar, there is not a person named Led Zeppelin in that band. But anyway, by Led Zeppelin. And I remember the first time I heard the song Stairway to Heaven, I was in barracks in Navy boot camp in San Diego, California. We had a little radio that if you were good enough and you earned radio time, you could sit around and listen to the radio, have a little bit of recreation time, play cards or something like that. And I remember, wow, you know, it blew me away when I heard that song. You know, it's the most played song in FM radio history. It was never released as a single. You can't get it on a 45. I guess it might not fit on there. It was never intended to be released as a single. It was made for FM radio. Back then, there wasn't that much radio. Remember, most cars had an AM radio. But if you got an AM, FM, you had to make sure when you bought a car, I want an AM, FM radio. As soon as we heard the sound difference, we listened to the FM. But anyway, it was voted number 3 of the top 100 rock songs of all time. It is a long-running song, 8 minutes by, major standards, double what you normally. A long-running mystical song, has that mystical aspect to it, about a woman thinking that she can buy her way to heaven. Now, with YouTube, I had this opportunity to listen to it, but I probably heard it as many times as I've seen various Andy Griffith episodes. So I looked at it and I could see the lyrics with the music. So it sort of, I understand it much better. But it is about a woman trying to buy her way, her futile efforts to buy her way into heaven. Though it's not biblically inspired. I mean, Robert Plant, it would be the first to say it was not biblically inspired. In fact, ironically, it may have been inspired by the writings of a fellow by the name of Lewis Spence, who was a writer, who was a writer, something about myths of the Celtics in Britain or something like that. Of course, there's some words in that, but anyway, so it's not biblically inspired for the writer of the song. But the Bible does talk about the stairway to heaven. And Connie's already talked about it a little bit in the story. When I knew the first thing I thought of, and I'll tell you the inspiration of this next as we get a little further into it, but I knew everybody has heard the story of Jacob's ladder. And when I started reading it, I said, my goodness, there is a stairway to heaven. Genesis chapter 28, verses 10 through 17. Now Jacob departed from Beersheba toward Haran, and came to a certain place and spent the night there, because the sun had set. And he took one of the stones of the place and put it under his head and lay down in that place. And he had a dream. And behold, a ladder was set on the earth, with its top reaching to heaven. And behold, the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the land in which you lie. I will give it to you and to your descendants. Your descendants shall also be like the dust of the earth, and you will spread out east, west, north, and south. And in you and in your descendants shall all the families of the earth be blessed. And behold, I am with you, and will keep you wherever you go, and will bring you back to this land. For I will not leave until I have done what I have promised you. Then Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. And he was afraid and said, How awesome is this place! This is none other than the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. Jacob decides he has to camp. Found himself dark. Got to camp out. Exactly what he was doing. Has a dream. Sees a ladder reaching to heaven. Now, ladders and stairs, I'm going to change from ladder to stairs. Can everybody agree that's a fair comparison? Ladders and stairs are similar. They're not exactly the same, but they're very similar. He sees an angel going, he sees angels going up and down the stairs. And sees God at the top of the stairs. That's the scene. Jacob says, my goodness, this is an awesome place. This is an awesome place. This is the stairway to heaven, to where God lives. This is, you go back, this is the ladder way. This is the extension ladder. Whatever terminology you want to use, this is the ladder, the big ladder. You got that big ladder. You know, I got a high ceiling on the basement. I have to have a big old ladder to be able to get up and do stuff. You know, whatever kind of step ladder, extension ladder, whatever, stairs, whatever you want to call it. That don't matter. Because he saw a way into heaven. Angels coming back and forth down. He said, this is God's place. This is awesome. I can't believe what I'm seeing. And of course, in the middle of all that, God has comforted him and telling him, you know, there may be times in your life where, you know, you may not understand clearly what's going on, but just keep following me and focusing on me. You know, as I read that and prayed about it, thought about it, there is a stairway to heaven, a ladder to heaven. Jacob says it, you know, well, it's a dream. That was in Jacob's mind. You know, dreams in the Bible are put there for a reason. For us to know there is a stairway to heaven. There is a ladder to heaven. There is access to heaven. That we can see God. There is a stairway to heaven. There is a ladder to heaven, whatever you want to call it. But there's also a highway to hell. I listened to that song. You know, I think I got out of that band at that point and not sang that song. By a group called AC/DC. Much later, that was not my type of music. That's not classic rock to me. That's just not my kind. It never was. But there's a song called Highway to Hell. Look it up on YouTube if you want to. Obviously, that song is not biblically inspired. destruction, and there are many who enter by it. For the gate is small, and the way is narrow that leads to life, and few are those who find it. I think you understand destruction equals hell, what Jesus is talking about here. Destruction equals hell. And Jesus says, the way to hell is broad, it's wide, it's not hard to find. It's like, I was trying to think of how many of you traveled Interstate 16 from Macon to Savannah? That's a long, flat, smooth ride, boring. It's easy to find, relatively speaking, but so I'm not saying Interstate 16 is the highway of hell. Please, because I like going to Savannah. We're overdue to go to Savannah. But you know what I'm talking about. You travel Interstate 16, it is a wide, smooth, flat road. You put it on cruise, and you can go. You can go. You might think of another road. We're going to travel a bunch of back roads, and sometimes we could part up be Interstate 75, and that can be the highway. The highway traffic from hell, put it that way. Let me get back. All right. But it's not, that broad, wide way is not difficult to find, Jesus said. A lot of people find it. It's not easy. It's not hard. He said, but the way to salvation is narrow. It's narrow. And it's hard to find. Like a stairway. Like a ladder. How many times, I've got 2 or 3 ladders, and I know exactly where they're at. But how many times where's the ladder? What did we do with the ladder? Did that ever happen to somebody? Where's the ladder? Oh, we got a ladder. I need to go borrow it. What happened to the ladder? So ladders can be misplaced and they get coated up and stuff. Because don't use them that much. You must know where the ladder is, or the stairway is. Oh, you go, all right, how do you get to this place? Well, it's on the 2nd floor. You got to walk down Main Street, and you got to go in there. There's a little door there, such and such, and you got to go up those stairways and go in the offices to the left or right. You ever done that? And especially a town like Winder or a small town with the office buildings like that. Sometimes stairways, ladderways, and such as that are not easy to find. The fact that there is a highway to hell and only a stairway to heaven says a lot. Now, this is where the inspiration comes from. I think Larry Willard put the sign. This was from a church, believe it or not, in Manhattan. The sign, and I can't remember it verbatim. That's essentially what the sign said on the song. What was on the church's sign. And I said, there's a message in this. Because I'd always wanted to do a sermon using the stairway to heaven. But there's a highway to hell and only a stairway to heaven. Sadly, God, and this is what the sign said in so many words, sadly, God must be expecting more in hell than in heaven. That was essentially the wording of that. And it's on our Facebook page. Scroll way on down. A couple weeks ago, you see that. If you think about all the non-Christians, all the people that reject Christ, all the people that mock Christ in the world, we're here in our Christian family and loving one another, which we should do. But, we're also bringing others into the fold, telling others about Jesus. We're all born on the highway to hell. The Bible tells us that. Due to the sin that we inherit, we're born on that highway. We just got to find that stairway to heaven. Isaiah in chapter 35. Let's look at that. Isaiah 35. Looking far into the future. 35, 8 through 10. And a highway will be there, a roadway, and it will be called the highway of holiness. The unclean will not travel on it, but it will be for him who walks that way. And fools will not wander on it. No lion will be there, nor any vicious beast will go up on it. These will be found there. These will not be found there. But the redeemed will walk there. And the ransom of the Lord will return. And come with joyful shouting to Zion with everlasting joy in their heads. They will find gladness and joy, and sorrow and sighing will flee away. My goodness, Lord. I think that what Isaiah is describing is beyond our time still to come. He's talking about that perfect world when Christ comes back and all that stuff. But we have that to look forward to. There is that highway of holiness. There is that stairway to heaven. There's no reason to be walking on the highway to hell. Get off the dead gum highway to hell if you're on it. Either the highway of holiness or the stairway to heaven will get you to the same place. What did Jacob see? Jacob saw God. Yeah, you take the dream part out. If you want, hey, Jacob saw that. It was meant for him to have that dream to be written down and for us to be reading about it thousands of years later. Jacob saw God. Think about that. Now, the Bible's other instances of people doing that. That's one of the early instances. He saw God. He saw angels going up and down. Ultimately, Jesus is the stairway to heaven. Jesus is the stairway to heaven. Without Him, God's not going to let you in. He's not going to let you in. As Robert Plant wrote the song, Robert Plant was the singer of Led Zeppelin, had a very good voice. Reading through the long lyrics of the song, these couple of lines jumped out at me. There are two paths you can go by. But in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. It goes on down toward the famous ending, and she's buying the stairway to heaven. Now, we know that's futile, and that's really what Plant was writing when he said the futility, even though it wasn't biblically inspired, the futility of trying to buy your way into heaven. That's what, if you look through the whole song, that's what it is, the futility of it. Again, Stairway to Heaven, the song is not biblically inspired, but it has a biblical message. I clearly see the biblical message, at least in the words of the title. You can't buy your way into heaven because you don't have to. You don't have to buy your way into heaven, because Jesus has already done that. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so. You see, hopefully I'll just, as I'm preaching this, of course I've been looking at it all week, it sort of all comes together. by your way. The unsaved person can eat by their way.